I think one of the most important thing, if not the most important thing in a relationship, is trust. And if your partner is not trustworthy, they're not forthright, they're not open with you, then what's the point of being in a relationship with them? It's like, why would you want to be in a relationship with someone you can't trust? Why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who you don't think will have your back or your best interest at heart? For me, that does not make sense. But I understand people get into relationships for multiple reasons, but it's just if there's no trust in the relationship, then what's the point? And for me, this also extends to friendship, not just romantic. Hello and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paula and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a space where people could ask questions without fear of rejection. I can't guarantee it'll be good advice, but I can guarantee there'll be no shame on my end. Your name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, and you are under no obligation to take this advice. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin. Hello, listeners. We are back, and as usual, we just dive into the first story of the episode. So the title of the story is How Do I Handle Feeling Used and Regret Being Intimate with a Guy? Alright, so I'm a 25-year-old woman and I'm writing regarding this guy I've met, a 29-year-old man. I've dated him for about 2 months and I really liked a lot of stuff about him. He was by far the most respectful guy I've ever met. The other day I went to his place and he said I'm great. And when he met me, he thought I was someone he could have something serious with. But he didn't catch feelings, so he didn't want to pursue this any further in order to not string me along. I said I was fine with that. Parentheses, I didn't fall in love with him either anyways, but I definitely wanted to keep going. And he pulled me to himself, so we sat together and talked for hours. At some point, I moved away and he said he's sorry I'm leaving. And after some time, pulled me back to him again. We cuddled, we kissed, and took some pictures of us. Parentheses, he did it on every date. After hours of talking and cuddling, we ended up being intimate. Parentheses, it was our first and only time. And it was probably the worst in my life. I did everything leading up to it well, so I thought, why not try? I'll finally break my 1-year celibacy. Parentheses, I don't get intimate with people I don't have feelings. Parentheses, I usually don't get intimate with people I don't have feelings for. And I'll get him out of my system. But it was horrible. He didn't last very long. I'm not going to say the amount of time she wrote. He didn't last very long and didn't make any effort to make me enjoy it too. Parentheses, oh my gosh. I would not be saying that, but okay, I will keep that in mind when I give my advice. And I just feel like he used my body. I felt rejected because he brought things off earlier, so I didn't tell him what I like, but just went with whatever he did. I slept over and went home in the morning before he woke up. He texted when he woke up and I responded politely but didn't want to engage in further conversation. I'm so mad at myself for saying yes to intimacy with someone who wasn't interested in me or my pleasure. I know the whole kissing and cuddling and talking shtick was probably just manipulation to get me into bed before we break it off. I feel so used, and the worst thing is nobody forced me into anything. He said I can say when I want to stop, but I didn't because I was hoping it would get better. And just when something started happening for me, he was like, I'm finishing. Oh gosh. I'm not traumatized, but just discuss it somehow. At least I've learned my lesson now and know not to do this in the future. How do I handle this? Wow. We're going to be back with our advice after this break. We are back, and I'm happy you learned your well, it's it's not pleasurable, but some of the stuff that we kind of have to go through life with to navigate. You're 25, and it's better you learn this now than later, I think. But don't feel ashamed or don't feel guilty about what happened. And like you said, it was probably manipulation. He had no feelings for you. He didn't want to pursue anything further, but he wanted to be intimate. And I understand how you may feel as though you were just used and not really given the care or love that you wanted or deserved. I definitely get that. But the main point of my advice for this would just be don't feel guilty when stuff like this happens to you. At least you can take it as a learning lesson to not let it happen again. Now you know that if you don't really have strong feelings for someone, regardless of what they say, regardless of the sweet words they tell you, you stand strong in your boundaries of no, I will not be intimate with you if I don't have any feelings for you, or vice versa. Or if they show they don't really care about you that much and they just want a one night stand type of thing, you just tell them you're not a one night stand type of girl. Not to be like one night stand girls are bad, but it's just that's not who you are. And that's not what you're comfortable with. And end it there. I think if you're in a similar situation where you feel regret because you've been intimate with someone and it really didn't help, that it didn't, it wasn't a pleasurable experience for her, I'm sure that didn't help at all. But if you feel regret for being intimate with someone when you never really wanted to, but you didn't quite say no, just take it as a learning lesson, because you know what, it can be difficult to spot a manipulator if you've never been manipulated. Yes, you can listen to advice online or people tell you watch this out, watch that out, but in real life, real time, it is difficult to spot one. Even people who have been manipulated before or are giving you advice regarding manipulators may still find themselves in a situation where they're like, where someone is manipulating them, but they don't catch it immediately. So, to be quite honest, it's not your fault, but you do kind of need to, I would say, you do kind of need to find your voice and stand your ground, because from the story you said you were not interested in this guy. I mean, you thought he was great and he said the right things, but for you there was really no spark. And I'm not, for you there was really no spark. I think that should be we as women were so intuitive, and we need to start listening to our intuition way more. If there's no spark for you, you don't feel anything for this person, just I don't care what they say. I don't care if they give you the world or the sun. It's just like, bye. I know it sounds harsh, but it's like, what are you getting out of this? There's no spark. You don't want to be with this person. I mean, if they're actually giving you the world and they're being respectful and pleasuring you, maybe I can see how some people may consider it. But if there's no spark, they're not even pleasuring you. It's just take it as a learning lesson and leave. Even if there is a spark on his side and not really on your side, and you just, if you've been on this podcast before, it's like, if you're uncomfortable in the situation, leave. She wasn't necessarily uncomfortable, but she didn't really want to do it. So listen to your intuition more, ladies. Listen to your intuition more. And if you've been in this situation, don't feel guilty. Just take it as a learning lesson, and now you know what to watch out for. That's it. That's all. I mean, life is a journey, and it's not a journey that goes in a straight line. Sometimes you have to like make a pit stop. Sometimes you have to go back, but just take it as a learning lesson and move on from that. All right, since that was relatively short, we're going to have 3 stories for this episode, and we're going to jump into the second story right now. All right, so we are back with the second story, and the title is, I've been seeing this one girl's name pop up on my boyfriend's phone very frequently, and I don't know what to do. Okay, so hello, I'm a 22-year-old woman, and I've been seeing this one girl's name pop up on my boyfriend, a 22-year-old man's phone frequently over Snapchat and Instagram. I've also seen her name once or twice in his caller log. Now, I don't know whether she's just a friend or my boyfriend's sister or something else, but every time I see it, I am bothered by it and can't help but spiral into the parentheses. Maybe he's flirting with her or he likes her pattern. I desperately want to know who she is and whether I should worry about it or not. Also, my boyfriend is not very free about using his phone in front of me. He always dismisses all the notifications and tilts his phone away from me whenever he does use it in front of me. This makes me worry more. I have no idea what to do. He doesn't even know that I've noticed this one girl's name and don't know how to confront him about it. Should I confront? Would I go off? Would I come off as clingy or too much? On many occasions, I've cried thinking about why he does that. I know I'm being way too insecure and overthinking this a lot. I really need some advice over this. Wow. Well, this is short, so let's just dive into it. There's so many questions, but the first question is, you're 22, he's 22. How long have you dated? Wouldn't you know if she's his sister or a friend? It's just like, how long have you two dated? That is my first question. Because you said you don't know if she's your boyfriend's sister or friend or some girl on Instagram. You should probably know who your boyfriend's sister and friends are. That is the first, that's like the first thing I want to inquire. And two, could you be insecure? Maybe. Could he be cheating? Probably. I don't know. Does he have a history of cheating? And this isn't to say once a cheater, always a cheater, but it does seem a little bit suspicious from your end. Because you mentioned he dismisses notifications most of the time, but whenever he's in front of you, he tends to, I guess, move away from you while he's on his phone or hides it from you. I don't know if that's you reading into it or if that's something he's really doing, because it's just there's a lot of stuff missing here. So I'm just gonna come up with a theory. If he's not really hiding notifications from you, he may be one of those people who don't really care for social media and stuff like that. Then again, you've been seeing this girl's name pop up on Instagram and Snapchat, so maybe he does care about social media. I don't know. Or maybe I don't know. It's like, I don't really understand people who hide their phones from their partners that well. So going back to the first thing, the second thing is, have you talked to him about this? Is this something you voice? Is this something you're uncomfortable with? Have you told him how it makes you feel? What I'm trying to gauge is, has there been history of him showing that he's a cheater? And that is something you guys have gone through, and it is something you're working on. What has been happening? I guess that's my question. So it's like, there's so many stuff missing. How long have you been dating? While you were dating, has there been history of infidelity or cheating? Does he tend to hide stuff from you? Is he not forthcoming? Like, what's happening? What is up? This is a lot, but I don't know. I mean, the next thing I would tell you is just tell him you've seen this girl's name and just ask him straight up who she is. And knowing that, I don't know. Honestly, you understand your partner more than I do. And I don't really think I can. There's a lot of stuff missing. So it's like, and you understand your partner more than I do. If you think you're cheating, maybe he is cheating. Because we just talked about instinct and intuition in the previous story. And I don't know. I really don't know if this is you overthinking, or because if there is history of him cheating, then obviously maybe you're not overthinking this. And you've also mentioned the fact that he seems to be hiding his phone while in your presence. Why would you hide your phone in front of your partner? I don't understand that one. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just I'm not around people who do that. So for me, it's like a foreign concept. But it's just like, why would you do that? To be honest, I don't know. And I don't think I can really give you an advice because there's a lot of stuff missing. But one thing I will say is just ask him straight up. And depending on what he says, and trust your instincts based on what he said. Don't just listen to what he said, because some people lie. Okay, people lie out here. And people are manipulators. They want to have their cakes and they want to eat it too. It's a thing. People lie. So I would tell you to just ask him straight up, and depending on the energy you feel from his answer, maybe he's lying, maybe he's not lying. Maybe it's his sister or his friend or whatever she is. Anyway, just ask him and figure out who this girl is. I don't know. I feel like there's so many missing. There's so many questions and so many answers we don't know. So that's why I don't really feel like I can give you an accurate advice, but I will start with that. Just ask who this girl is. You've seen her name on his phone. Who is she? If he begins gaslighting you, or if you're being overly sensitive, you're this, you're that, your boyfriend's cheating. Or maybe not cheating, but there's something happening in between him and her. Maybe not something's happening, but maybe he wants something to happen between him and her. But it's just like, if he start gaslighting you from you just asking who this person is, or and starts turning it to a you thing, then I think it's safe to say he's not really focused on you and the relationship at this time, and it's something you're gonna have to think about. But if he doesn't gaslight you and he tells you exactly, this is my sister, or this is my friend, this is my that, you're just gonna have to take it at his word. Because I think one of the most important thing, if not the most important thing in a relationship, is trust. And if your partner is not trustworthy, they're not forthright, they're not open with you, then what's the point of being in a relationship with them? It's like, why would you want to be in a relationship with someone you can't trust? Why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who you don't think will have your back or your best interest at heart? For me, that does not make sense. But I understand people get into relationships for multiple reasons, but it's just, if there's no trust in the relationship, then what's the point? And for me, this also extends to friendship, not just romantic relationships. So ask your partner. If he begins gaslighting you, there's obviously something up. And if he tells you this is who she is, then you're going to have to take that at his word. If he has shown you he has a history of cheating and not being forthright or forthcoming, then maybe don't take him at his word. But there's a lot of stuff missing here, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you a more well-rounded advice, but that's where I would start. All right, so now we're going to move to the third story of the episode. We're going to jump into the third and last story of the episode. It's really short, but I just clicked on it because it's the title. All right, so the title is, I want to help my mom gain her confidence and individuality again. How should I help her? So I'm a 22-year-old woman, and I'm writing regarding my mom, a 48-year-old woman who has recently been going through a lot. She was completely dependent on my father for everything. She's a housewife. But since he started behaving distant, not respecting her anymore, subtle threats at how if they separate, he won't provide for us financially, she feels awful and talks about giving up on life. She's a housewife. But since he started behaving distant, not respecting her anymore, subtle threats at how if they separate, he won't provide for us financially, she feels awful and talks about giving up on life. 22, but still need 2 to 3 years to earn better for supporting us. I want her to go out, enjoy life, make friends, parentheses, she has no close friends, start a job or something where she will feel confident again. I can't completely support her given my position, but I want to help in some way. She thinks she can't stand on her own feet anymore or get a job given her age, but there's always a way. Aww, this is so sweet. Since we haven't taken a break yet, we'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back. So sweet that you really care for your mother, and it's so unfortunate that she doesn't have any confidence in herself. But I think it's exactly as you said. I think she needs to start making friends. Given that she has no close friends on her own, she definitely needs to start making friends. But I think a way you can support her, given your position, is to just be there for her. Be a listening ear for her, a safe space, and motivate her to pursue her hobbies, whichever hobbies she used to do when she was younger, or maybe even before she became a mother. Because I know a lot of women just, a lot of women are told that once you become a mother, it's like motherhood is all consuming. Your identity before motherhood is done. Now that you're a mother, you have to focus on your kids. And yes, it does help the children grow up, but it also sacrifices the person who was there before she became the mother. Go back to our previous episode and I talk about that in depth. But I think a way to help your mom gain her confidence is just ask her to focus on her hobbies, maybe even join a meetup group regarding her hobbies and where she can make friends who like doing the same things that she does. So regardless of what her hobbies are, I don't know. What do 48-year-olds hobbies are? I don't know. Whichever hobbies your mom likes to do, I'm sure there's a group out there. There's a Facebook group, there's a meetup group, there's some type of group out there where people meet up doing those stuff. So that's how she can slowly start gaining her independence and slowly start gaining confidence. So that's where I would actually tell you to start. Obviously, be there for her as you are right now. Listen to her and encourage her to pursue her hobbies, whichever hobby she liked when she was younger, or even whichever hobby she always wanted to do, but didn't try because something else came up. So motivate her to start doing stuff she likes, and preferably you can even research group, Facebook groups, meetup group, whichever type of group of people who do that same hobby, so she can start developing some friends who are also maybe mothers like her, who have, adult children who are trying to figure themselves back out. There are a lot of women out here whose kids have left the nest and they feel as though now is the time for them to, go back to who they were before they became a mother. So it's not actually uncommon. And I'm pretty sure there's a group out there for her. So just encourage her to do that. And honestly, once she does that, when she meets with women her age who are on the same life trajectory as she is, it'll be much easier for her to be able to gain her confidence, gain her individuality again. And then after that, that's when you can motivate her to maybe start a job or go to a job. Or you might be surprised, her friend might even motivate her to get employed and get a job or whatever. But yeah, that's actually where I would that's actually what I would tell you to do. As I always tell you guys, start with your likes and go towards your likes. So encourage your mom to pursue a hobby or something else that she likes, and then maybe find a group of people who are around her age doing the same thing where she can start making new friends and start, finding her way back into the world. All right, so that is my advice, and I really wish you the best. And that is it for this week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.